How's it going, everybody? We're just going to give people a couple minutes here to come in. You guys are quiet. Nobody wants to talk, huh? Okay, it looks like you're the lucky four. Marvin went away. Oh, there he is. Okay. All right, so here's what we're going to do today. So today's class is all about follow-up systems. And I'll move you all over here for now until I start sharing my screen. All right, so today's all about follow-up systems, because we know, based on the research for the MREA, that a 33 touch program, that's been updated over the years to a 36 touch program. Over the course of the year, should develop a 12-to-2 ratio of contacts to repeat and referral business. Everybody know what I'm talking about? Yes, no, maybe? Can't hear any of you. You're all muted, so if you would like to speak, please unmute yourself, or just shoot me messages in the chat box. Give me thumbs up emojis like Stephanie had, right? This will be a lot more fun for all of us, I promise. All right, so if we know that a 33 touch program done over the course of the year can develop a 12-to-2 ratio, that's an 18% return. Meaning with just 100 people in your database, you should be able to deliver 18 transactions every single year. Now, if you deliver 18 transactions, you're going to be in probably the top 10% of real estate agents around the entire country, right? 18 transactions in this market, in our area, you're talking about being a roughly, I don't know, $7 million producer. For some of you, it might be lower than that if you work in slightly lower price point areas, right? But still, even if you're a $300,000 average price point, or a $250,000 average price point, right? $250,000 average price point, you're still a $5 million producer with 20 transactions a year, or $4.5 million producer. You're still capping and making close to six figures at a $250,000 average price point. So the question is, how many people on this call know at least 100 people? Show of hands. Yeah, so Marvin, your average, so if it's 20 transactions to cap, roughly, that means your average price point is probably is just under 250, right? Because at at 250, you should be capping on your 19th transaction. Oh, you have all right. So yeah, you also have referral fees coming off the top, which cuts that down too. Okay, all right. So the next question is how are we delivering those touches throughout the year? So we have a lot of conversation, you know, the kind of the standard model out of the MREA was 12 direct mail pieces each year, right? Items of value. They could be market reports, they could be listing updates, they could be, you know, holiday card or something like that, right? 12 email touches once a month, and those could be a monthly newsletter, a market update, again, kind of the same type of thing, right? That's 24 touches now. Then you got 4 quarterly phone calls. That brings you up to 28. And then you have another 5, which are kind of up in the air. You know, some people say that that should be, you know, that could be events, a combination of doing an event and getting multiple touches there. It could be sending handwritten notes. You know, that would be sending a handwritten note every 2 months if you wanted to do that. But it's essentially doing something else every 2 months that is kind of up to you. And that gets you to 33 touches. And that's the basic 33 touch program. However, what it doesn't talk about is how that program is kind of the same for everybody, right? In order to implement that program, it's really hard to send out 12 monthly emails that aren't, you know, to 100 people that are tailored to those 100 people, right? It's a lot easier to create 1 monthly email to send that all out. Now, that's where the 33 touch starts to lose some of its value. Because when the information and the stuff that you're sending to people isn't relevant or isn't important or isn't valuable to the people you're sending it to, you might as well not be sending it. Make sense? So what I'm going to show you today are some of the new tools that we have through Command that allow you to kind of create more value in those communications. All right. So I'm going to share my window with you. Okay, so what are we looking at here? We're looking at Command, right? Everybody recognize this, hopefully? Yes, no, maybe? These are just my contacts and everything else. In this, over here on the left-hand side, the 3rd tab down is a tab, or 4th tab down, sorry, is a tab called SmartPlans. And SmartPlans are essentially how we can create all of our automated touches. So there's some, you know, there are some tweaks to these, but if you come in here, there are some very basic ones already here set up, right? So I mentioned those other 5 touches that you have each year, right? What if you were to send a birthday card to everybody, or call somebody on their birthday, right? Or send a little item of value, something like that. Well, we have a birthday smart plan in here that's already been created for you. And all it is it takes, based on when the person's birthday is, it will send them a text message on their birthday, just saying happy birthday. And that can be automated using our connection with Twilio, right? So you do have to pay the 0.06 cents in order to send that one text message. All right. But you can send an automated text message that will be sent from Command saying, hey, first name of person, just wanted to, you know, wishing you a happy birthday today, Marvin Bennington, and Bennington, you know, Bennington Associates, right, Keller Williams, right? Now, a day before that, it's going to remind you to make a phone call to them. Now, why is it going to tell you to do that before the day before? That seems odd, right? Why wouldn't you call them on their birthday? It's like, well, because the whole point of this plan is to get 4 touches out of one event. So instead of calling them on their birthday, you send them a text message and you post and you have something posted on their social media, right? But the day before, you can call them and say, hey, listen, I just wanted to wish you a happy birthday, and I know it's tomorrow, but I want it to be the first one. Right now, it's another touch. And it's going to remind you 4 days before their birthday to send them a card. Right? So this is just a very simple plan that combines both you having to do something and reminders for you to do it, and automated systems. Now we have a bunch of these. So there's one for the home anniversary. So are you putting all of your clients on a home anniversary plan when they've purchased a home? Right? It's just 2 touches, but it's done it's done essentially over an extended period of time, like forever, essentially, right? So you send a gift to them for their home anniversary, and you do that, and it reminds you to do that 6 days before their actual anniversary date, and then it tells them to call you, and then it repeats every year. That's it. So every year you get a reminder to send them a gift and to call them. All right, simple touch. So what these smart plans allow you to do is essentially create your own version of the 36 touch program. And the real beauty of these is that you can then turn around and create all of your own. So for instance, when you're able to create your own, you can make them be whatever you want them to be. So this is a smart plan that I've created for our career night next week. So I've been running ads on Indeed and on Facebook. And anytime I get a new agent referral from any of you, I add them to command, and then I add them to this smart plan. And all it is it sends out an email to them automatically. As soon as I add them to this smart plan, it sends them an email, and then it waits 2 days, and it sends them a text message. And then it waits 2 days, and it sends them another email. Then it waits another 2 days, and it sends them another text message and an email in the same day. And that's it. And I was able to create this using our smart plan builder. So this is kind of where we're going to spend the rest of our time today, because you can use this to create any kind of smart plans that you want, or you can use this to create, to copy other plans. So some of the plans that are in here, that are already in here, are a biweekly neighborhood nurture. So if you add a neighborhood to a contact, command will know what neighborhood that is, and every 2 weeks it will send them an email with market information for that neighborhood. How many active listings are there? How many pending listings are there? What recent closings were there? What are the average price points of both list and sale prices? And then give them a list and then showcase the active listings for that area. Then it's going to wait 14 days and it's going to do it again. You can also do that on a monthly basis using the monthly neighborhood nurture plan. There's a long-term nurture in here. So you can add these smart plans to your two things. There's an 8x8, which is 8 contacts and 8 touches in 8 weeks. All right. There's a quarterly call plan. This will just remind you to call everybody every quarter, every 3 months. All right, so these are already built in for you. There's an open house smart plan in here as well, follow-up plan. 7 touches. So it automatically sends a text message the next day. It tells you to call them. All right, and that 2 days later, it's an email. You could have this automated instead of, this was created before we had the automated emails in here. All right, a phone call, delay 3 days, send a text, delay 4 days, another phone call, delay 3 days, another text, another 4 days, another email, another 3 days, and then you add them to another smart plan. All right, and that could be around like the neighborhood nurture or something like that. What we're going to focus on today is creating smart plans, because this is one of the easiest ways we have to send automated emails to people. All right, so I'm just going to call this the Benenson plan. All right, so all you're going to do is you're going to come into smart plans here. You're going to click the create button. You name your smart plan, and then it brings you to this page. And so here's what we have on this page. This is what's going to tell us what the smart plan looks like over here. And then everything on the right-hand side are our building blocks, essentially. It's like these are our Legos right here. All right. These are our options for what we can do as far as smart plans. So right now, the only way we have to trigger a smart plan is a manual trigger, meaning you have to add somebody to the smart plan. All right. So what do we want this smart plan to look like? What do we want it to like? What do we want the goal to be like? Anybody have any suggestions? What kind of smart plans would you love to see? Or automated systems would you love to see for open houses maybe, or Facebook or whatever? What do you guys have? What are you guys using right now that you'd like to see that?
What do you, what about Facebook? Is that something that's going to go and post directly on your Facebook?
We don't have that ability at this point to have that automated. You can schedule Facebook posts
Right.
using the campaigns, but you can't automate those through smart plans yet. No.
Okay.
Hey, Dan.
Yeah.
So currently we're doing, we do 12, we do monthly emails to our entire database. We do
Sure.
a monthly newsletter to our entire database. We do anniversary handwritten notes, and we also call, I don't know if it's quarterly, but maybe twice a year, and then follow up with handwritten notes. So that's what we're currently doing.
Okay. So if you wanted to create, so aside from the emails, because I'm assuming that you're making those emails each month, or they're pre-made for you.
They're made for us, yeah.
Yeah.
We have to click a button.
Okay. And so if you wanted to create a smart plan around what you just talked about, you could start it with, all right, how do you want to start? Do you want to start it with a phone call, a text message, an email, or a handwritten note? Like, so let's say you get a new lead that you want to add to this program, right? What's that first step look like?
Usually for us, I add them into my database, and they'll automatically, if I rate them an A or a B or an A plus,
Yeah.
they will get my monthly newsletter automatically.
Okay. And what about the handwritten notes and the phone calls and stuff like that? You have to kind of remember to do those, or it reminds you to?
Yeah, on anniversaries, we get a reminder, but what I've been trying to do, my goal is to write 2 notes a day. So if I have 2 conversations with somebody in my database, I'm sending out 2 handwritten notes, but it's not systematic.
So what I would say, all right, so let's start with this. So the first thing we'll say is, all right, I'm going to assume that most of these, like if you're adding somebody to this plan, you've probably just had a conversation with them, most likely on the phone, right? So let's make this first step a text message. And the first text message could just be, hey, so now that we clicked send an SMS, all right? And now it opens up this window on the side, right? So this is saying on day 1, right? And so actually, you know what I want to do is I don't want it to be on day 1. So I'm going to say, wait a day. All right. Now you have these buttons at the bottom. This allows you to kind of move things around. All right. So I'm going to click the up because I actually want to wait a day. So I'm going to talk to them on the phone. I'm going to add them to my database, and then I'm going to add them to this smart plan. The first thing that's going to happen is I'm going to wait a day. So then I just click the checkbox here to save that. And now I have this text message. So the next day, it's going to send them a text message. So now I can type in here whatever I want that message to be. And so everybody that I add to this plan will automatically get this text message the day after I talk to them and add them to the plan. And so I could say, hey, and then if I click on this box over here, this allows me to use some kind of common information that Command already has around the person because you added them to the text to the system. So you could say, hey, contact first name. Just wanted to say thanks for talking with me yesterday. All right. Please let me know if you have any questions. Marvin. All right. Keeping it simple. Right? Because you want this to be simple, and you want it to be broad enough so that you could send it to anybody. Right? It's not necessarily going to be determined who your like the different types of people that are going to be on here, right? So this is going to be kind of a broader smart plan. So you can have a text message that goes out. All right. And now you can say, okay, that's day one. So let's say we're going to then go 5 days later, or I'm sorry, what did you say? So you were doing handwritten notes twice a year, phone calls twice a year.
Well, you know, with a brand new client, what we generally do is we'll talk to them, we'll find out what they're looking for, we'll set them up for an automatic search.
Yeah.
And then if we were going to send them a text, I would say it was great talking to you today. We've set you up for an automatic search for these communities, blah, blah, blah. And then maybe 4 or 5 days later, we'd call them or send them a text saying that we just want to check in to make sure that, you know, you received our email with regard to your auto search. Just want to make sure it's exactly the way you want it, blah, 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 something like that. Oops.
All right, so I just changed the text message to kind of say what you said, right? So it's just going to be, hey, contact first name. Just wanted to say thanks for talking with me yesterday, and we set up an automatic search to send you listings from the neighborhoods you were interested in. Please let me know if you have any questions. All right. So now 5 days later, we're going to have a reminder here to make a phone call. Call for this person. All right, so we're going to call this person. Oops. What just happened?
Matt, I was taking notes. Did you just scroll down and are these the steps, or did you have to click on something to the right?
Nope. So these are the steps are like, so they just build out like this, right? So the first thing I did is add a 1-day delay because I'm going to talk to them, and then the next day I'm going to send them a text message saying that I added them to the automatic search. All right. And then I added another delay by clicking on this button here. All right. And I set it for 5 days. Now you can use these arrow buttons to make these delays however many days you want, you know, maximum of 30 days. All right. So we're going to make this a 5-day delay. All right. So it'll be roughly a week after we spoke to them originally. All right, and it's going to remind us to make a call, and it's going to be, and then we can put in the description here, call such and such person to make sure they received our automatic search. All right, and now that we have that, we can then, what would the next step be then, Marvin? So now you've sent them a text message, you sent them a phone call, you made a phone call about a week later.
Yeah, so the phone call, I would be making the appointment to see.
So the beauty of these follow-up systems aren't for the people that you make progress with. It's for all the people you don't make progress with, right? So let's say they don't return your text message, they don't respond to your automated message either, and they tell you, oh yeah, I saw that, but I'm not ready to move forward right now, right? What would the next step be?
So I would set them for a follow-up for 30 days, usually about 30 days.
Okay. So again, we're just going to come in here. We're going to do another delay. All right. By just hitting the set delay button, going 30 days out. All right. And then we could add another phone call. Okay.
And then And then the way that I have it set up is if I give them a call and they don't respond, you know, after all of these things, then I'm going to send out them a final email, which will say, I've got a stock email. I don't want to be a pest. So if you've changed your mind or if you're already working with another realtor, please let me know. I contour my service to your level of motivation. And I get about a 95% response rate from that.
Okay. So let me ask now, based on this is only going to carry you for, if we look at the total timeline, for about a month. This only takes you out about a month. And what we know is that a lot of online leads and a lot of lead, like they need more nurturing than that, right? So what we could do at this point to kind of bolster this a little bit, plus you have to also see that it's only 1, 2, 3 touches over the course of that month, plus the automated searches that you're sending them, right? So what we could also do here is this button here, which is add to smart plan. So we could then actually add them to a different smart plan where we could add them to a neighborhood nurture, or we could, whether it's biweekly or monthly, we could add, we could create a second thing that's more specific to them, right? So for this, I'm just going to say, because they're like a buyer lead, I'm going to say, we're actually going to add this up here before we make this phone call. So like on day 7, when we've made that second phone call, if they haven't responded, I want the system to automatically add them to the biweekly neighborhood nurture as well. So they start getting those emails as well. All right. Now we have some additional touches. And what this will do is this will take me out further than 37 days. And so now if your plan was to then check in with people every 3 months, let's say, you can just do the exact same thing. Okay, so now you've checked in with them right in the beginning. You've added them to your automatic search. You've added them to the neighborhood nurture. And you can now set this up to, again, just go out another 30 days. All right. For one more phone call. And then what you could then do is add them to a different smart plan at the end to just kind of take it out. All right, so let's just do the monthly neighborhood nurture, let's say, right? Or you could add them to the quarterly call plan, one as well. All right. And now what you've just done is you've just created essentially a 10-step smart plan that you can add all of your people to. And it was just that simple. Now, one of the things we didn't put in here was an email, which is also quite simple. You just add an email here. So when we hit send email, this allows us to enter in a subject. So we'll say, it was great meeting you, and we'll move this towards the top. All right, and then you can just type in whatever you want your email to say. Now, this is pretty basic email. You can do a simple email or you can do an HTML. The HTML, they don't have a ton of email templates in here, so I like to think that it's better to use just the regular simple email for now. But it does allow you to change fonts. You can change the spacing, text sizes, and everything else. You can add bullet points. You can create hyperlinks. All right. So it does allow you to do some decent functionality in here without getting too crazy. But it's just a really simple email. So you all have received these emails from me, whether you realized it or not, through automated smart plans. Anybody remember back in Bold, during Bold? I did a smart plan to promote Bold Pivot. I'm just going to save this real quick. Whoops. Delete this one. Oh, I can't do the monthly neighborhood and the biweekly. All right, so let me save this. So you all would have received some of these automated emails from me, and they look like just like regular emails because they come from your regular email address. They have a subject line, they have basic text in them just the same, right? You all have received a lot of my automated text messages through here as well. So when we were coming up on bold, I created what I called my pivot smart plan, which was just to send an email. All right, add a delay, send a text message, add a delay, send an email. And these are just this very simple emails that I put together to send. So it takes a little. Now the nice thing too is once you've created a smart plan, like so this career night plan is actually just a copy of this one. Because once you've created it, if you come over here, you can just copy it or edit it or archive it. All right. That used to say archive, now it says delete. All right, so if you want to come in here and edit these, as long as you don't have anybody that's actively on it, you can come in here and edit the smart plan. And so I can change the name of it if I want to, right? And you can see, so it's just an email. I can change the dates. I can change the actual email that's in here. Another delay, and then a text message. I can change this text message, right? And then I just hit save and it's done. Or if I want to do the same, if I still have people that are on the smart plan, right? Like this career night one for next week, I can hit copy and it'll just make a copy of that smart plan and then I can go in and edit that one as well. By, again, clicking this button here. The beauty of smart plans is that it gives you the opportunity to really create custom follow-up systems, if that makes sense. You know? Any questions about this?
Matt, right at the very beginning, when you were discussing trigger manually, is that what you clicked on to create this, 11 plus step plan?
I hit this button right here, create. Trigger manually is the only option that we have for that right now, is a manual trigger.
For what you just created?
Yeah, so in order to, for creating our own smart plans, the only option that we have is a manual trigger at this point.
Okay.
Which means you have to add people to the smart plan. And the way you do that is pretty simple. Like, so if I come in here and, sorry, Marvin, you're my guinea pig today. If I come into my contacts, and I find Marvin here, so I'm going to add, this is your address here, right, Marvin? In Newtown?
Yes, yes.
All right, cool. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add Marvin's town address in here. And so all I did is, so just so I didn't describe what I was doing. So I came in here and I hit the add neighborhood button to his contact and then clicked find on map, and it pulls up the map with Marvin's address pointed out. And it looks like you're right between two neighborhoods. You got Sugar Street neighborhood and Jockey Hollow. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take these two neighborhoods here and I'm going to hit save. And then when I come over here to Smart Plans on the right-hand side here, and just go add to Smart Plan, and it shows me all the Smart Plans that I have set up. So I'm going to select the monthly neighborhoods nurture, and I'm going to say I want to start it on a specific date, so I'm going to start it tomorrow. So now Marvin's going to get an email from me once a month, every 30 days, with the market statistics for these neighborhoods. And that took me all of what, 2 minutes to set up, right? The smart plan's already in there for you. So now I've just created 12 touches with Marvin throughout the year, where I'm providing neighborhood specific information for him, right? Similar to like a saved search or an automatic search, something like that.
Hey, Dan.
Yep.
You know what I think would be really, really helpful on all of these? I mean, command is such a big thing, and we've been doing this 66 days. But, like, for instance, on something like this, I think it would be really great if we almost had a 2-day class. Like the first day, you're showing us how to do it. Then our assignment is to go home and actually do one.
Yeah.
And then the next day, we meet again. And, of course, we're going to, at least when I try to do these things on my own, I run into snags and I can't figure out how to get past the snag, and I say, the hell with it.
Yep.
So I'm thinking, I mean, I don't know if there's, you know, any thought to doing it that way, but I think because first of all, right now I'm watching what you're doing,
Yeah.
but I'm not doing it myself.
Yep.
So, you know, I almost think it needs to be almost a 2-part class with these things. And I don't know if that's possible, but that's what my suggestion would be.
Do you think it would be more effective if you and I were to sit down like one-on-one and I were to help you walk through this? You actually doing this.
No, of course. That would be
sharing your screen with me and
Yeah.
you doing all of these things and creating it for yourself.
Well, sure. But,
Okay.
but I don't know. First of all, I don't think you have enough time to do it with 400 and something people. I'm just trying to have a better format for these classes. That's all.
Here's the thing is that 400 and something people aren't going to do it, number one, right?
Yeah.
So what we are going to be rolling out this month is appointment times for one-on-one help with the 3 of us, with Deb, Maria, and myself, for us to help walk you through how to create these. All right. And the Stanford Market Center will be doing the same thing. So they're figuring out the calendar right now. But that's one of the things that we're going to be setting up for this month. All right. Because we're going to be rolling out a program now. We're just kind of putting the finishing touches on it for what that's going to look like. But we're going to be rolling out an incentive plan for all of you.
Because the thing I got from Andy Sachs this morning, if he did 200 transactions last year and he thinks this is going to double his business, I mean, I'd be happy to get to 60 transactions. You know what I mean? In other words, if I go from 45 last year to 60 this year, I'll consider that a big success. So if this can help me get to that point, and I'm all for it.
Yeah. Here's the difference though, Marvin, is that you are using systems. Andy did 200 transactions with no systems like this. You do have a system.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're using it. It's the Buffini system, but it's still a system.
Yes.
Right? And that's what allows you to go from that 20 to 40 to 45 transactions each year.
Yeah, but now I got to get to 60. So whatever I have to do to get there, you know.
So there's only 2 ways to do that. There's either creating a new system or upgrading your system, right, to get better results, or getting more people into your system, right? If we know the ratio is 12 to 2 and you want to add 20 transactions, what do we know that means? If you want to add 20 transactions, that means you have to add 120 people to your system or whatever your system's delivering, right? So if you have 36, if you're getting 36 systems from whatever system you're using, 36 closings, sorry. Let's say you're selling 36 houses a year, doing what you're doing, and you have, let's call it 400 people in that system, right? That you're doing that to every year, consistently, right? Whatever it is, whether it's phone calls twice a year or whatever, you have kind of 2 choices then. If you want to add another 20 transactions to that, right? So if you're doing 40 this year and you got 400 people, that's 10%, right? So if you want to get to 60 and you want to add 20, it means you have 2 choices. You can either figure out a better system that's going to get you an additional 20 transactions from those same 400 people, or you figure out a way to do what you're doing already, but for 600 people instead of 400. But it's not necessarily that simple though, right? Because you might not be able to do exactly what you're doing for 600 people because it might just be too much work, right? So that's the balancing act that we have to play. is, okay, great. This system is delivering me a 10% return. Is there a better system I could be using that's going to deliver me a 15% return, which is essentially what you need, right? To get your 60 transactions. If you're going from 10 to 15% return, that means you're going from 40 to 60 transactions with 400 people. Then the next question, or the other option, is to just add more people to the database. Okay, well, if I'm going to add more people to the database, that means that there's more phone calls that are going to need to be met. There's more handwritten notes that are going to have to be written. There's more, emails that need to go out. How do I handle that increased activity? Do I need to bring on an additional person? Do I just need to work more hours? Right? Those are the questions that you start to ask, right? Where am I going to find those additional 200 people? Right? And how am I going to find them and add them to my system? How long is it going to take to do that? Right? So you can start asking all these other questions on top of it. Right? The question isn't the simple question is, how do I go from 40 transactions to 60? Well, the answers can take you in a lot of different directions, right? So it's a question of how you want to do that.
Well, this has really opened my my whatever. I can see how this would be perfect. Remember, I get 300 or 400 leads a year for 55 plus communities. If I could set them up on an automatic plan, then focus on my SOI, my business could really jump. So I think that's what I have to figure out.
And here's what I'll tell you too, is that those leads that you're getting, they're internet leads. You can call them whatever you want, but they're just a different form of internet lead, right? Like some people get Zillow leads, some people get Realtor.com leads, some people get Facebook leads, some people get leads from specific websites, right? They're all worth roughly the same, which is like typically a 1 to 2% return on investment, which is for every 100 leads you get, you're going to get 1 to 2 transactions.
Right, except for the fact that I'm averaging for the past few years between 8 and 10% conversion rate.
Yeah, so that's a lot higher.
Yeah.
So the question is, can you convert higher than that, or can you create more automatic systems that will allow you to convert the same amount, right? Could you automate some of that through text messaging and emails? Well, this system allows you to do that. Right? Cool. What other questions or ahas do we have?
Dan, I just wanted to say, at the end of last year, after taking many classes with Command, I decided to bite the bullet and do the SmartPlans. So I have a me book, and I went through every transaction I did from day one, and I verified that those people still own those houses. And then if they did, then I put them on a neighborhood watch, and I also did home anniversary. I did all of the transactions that I did up until, whenever. Yeah. I mean, I don't do like 60 transactions a year, but whatever I've done, so those people are all in there, and anybody new that I put in as a contact, I automatically do that.
The nice thing about these systems, that's awesome, Alice. So let me ask, how did you go about doing that? Did you start with a phone call? Did you start with a text message? Are you doing any other systems? Because if you're only doing home anniversary and the monthly neighborhood nurture, you're not going to get enough touches to get you that 12 to 2 ratio or that 18% return, right? You just muted yourself, Alice. Sorry.
I understand that, but that was my biggest goal, was to get everybody in there, because I have a lot of contacts. Some of them are duplicates, some of them I don't have emails, but whatever. But I needed, in order to get control of Command for me, I needed to do those two things. And during this whole stay-at-home time, I reached out to my most, I guess, not recent, but the people I'm most in contact with, and care calls, not just once, 2, 3 times. So I have been keeping in touch with people that way. And one of my clients, who I sold a house to, and 2 houses, she just gave me a beautiful referral in Greenwich. So
nice.
That's basically how I do my business, from referrals from past clients.
Yeah.
So, but anyway,
That's
It
great.
does work, Marvin. It was the point of my buddy in here. It
Yeah.
does work. It just takes time.
Yeah, the thing that I really like about SmartPlans is because here's the thing, like not all activities are equal, right? Not all things that we do are going to get us the same return or the best return. So one of the things that I love about the SmartPlans is it allows us to focus on the things that are, focus on creating one system. So who was it that, come on, who was it, Dan? Who was it? I'm trying to remember who it was now. He's a team leader in Austin. Oh, David Voorhees. Sorry, not a team leader. Do you guys know who David Voorhees is? He's the labs manager. He's essentially he's in Austin. He runs a team that sells roughly 90 to 100 homes a year. And he does that while working full time for Keller Williams corporate, right? And his team consists of him, 2 admins, and 1 other agent. And they sell 100 homes a year. And he does that when and so 2 years ago when we launched, was it 2 years ago? God, it feels like, no, a year ago. No, it was 2 years ago. Yeah. 2 years ago when we launched Command, he made the decision that he was going to transition his business to working on Command only, just Command. Right. And he was going to eliminate all of his other systems. And so when he looked at his business, he realized that he was doing all of these things, right? He was sending handwritten notes. He was sending mailers. He was sending postcards, email newsletters, all of these different things that he was sending, right? And when he actually looked at the business, what he realized is that if he just focused his time on talking to people, he could get to his goal. So he said, you know what, we're going to eliminate everything. And the only thing I'm going to focus on is my quarterly calls. I'm going to talk to everybody in my database 4 times a year. And until I can do that at a high level, I'm not going to worry about anything else. So the thing I love about these SmartPlans is you can really build them out however you want them to be, that will allow you to focus on things. And he says, until all of my people are getting a call from me every 3 months, I'm not going to focus on anything else. I'm not going to focus on postcards. I'm not going to focus on creating a newsletter. I'm not going to focus on, sending handwritten cards or putting on events or any of those things. And that's how he runs his business. His 2 admins and his other agent, they just make phone calls every day. And they do about 100 transactions a year. Just by doing that, they get that much business from it, right? So that's the beauty of these systems, is you can make them as simple or as easy or as complicated as you want them to be. It's completely customizable. All right. Cool. Any other questions, comments? All right. Thank you very much for joining me. If we'll get the recording up on the our YouTube page within the next day or so if you want to come back and look at anything. And I will see you all at the 4:30 call. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.